Dalton's initial idea that he's hoping that whatever effect this guy is exuding is limited in range. That's kind of one of the ideas he had. Why we went down into the sewers in the first place, thinking like we can get down enough underground, maybe maybe we can prevent this from, after we saw the first, the guy die. He's thinking, maybe we can prevent that from happening. Um, but I think also, okay, so we sent off Neff and Terry to maybe try and get some help. So maybe Dalton's thinking we should keep moving, but maybe we try and kind of essentially mark our trail, like Neffendel and Terry know kind of where they left us. But we should keep moving, maybe try and get deeper, underground, but leave kind of clues for them to follow so they can eventually reach us. We don't really have any idea of how long it's going to take for them to get to us.
Gotcha. As far as clues, what do you have in mind?
So I was thinking maybe either trying to like etch etch like a symbol into like the walls, or trying to think what I might have for like kind of breadcrumbs kind of thing.
I've got some caltrops. We could use those if you want.
Or maybe like pieces of something that like Dalton or Jinx is wearing. Like, their bars are probably wearing kind of, um, clothing that might stand out. So maybe we leave like kind of pieces of like, you know, colored cloth.
So let me put this out here. High on my list of really useful mundane items is chalk. You guys have been delvers for a while. Like you, the players, may not think about the value of chalk. But do you have any reason to say that your characters don't understand the value of chalk?
No, and I think we've used chalk before in the sewers. Um, to like mark like entrances. So yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah.
I think it would make sense for us to have like some
I think
chalk.
it's stupid cheap. I'm pretty sure it's like silver for chalk. And I think it's an indiscriminate amount because realistically, it's not really something that you have to buy multiple times. You're not like a teacher who's using a chalkboard and flying through it. It's one of those things, once you have a recognition of its value, exploring these places, like leaving something behind, perfectly fine. But somebody could pick it up. Things can wash it away. Chalk on stone resists a lot of things besides basically like somebody specifically trying to scrub it away. So I would say there's a solid chance that you guys have chalk. And if you are looking to leave an easily discoverable path, a chalk symbol, is probably one of those easiest things. Do either of you have I don't think so, but like thieves can't?
I do not think Dalton. No, Dalton does not know thieves can't. And yeah, chalk is like a copper a piece, so 10 pieces of chalk is like a silver. So
I don't have thieves' can or anything like that. And I like to think on a regular basis, Jinx gets like all his stuff wet and forgets, and then the chalk gets wet and it like gets like chalky dust all over everything.
That's a really solid way to make just like white paint.
You like open
Um,
up your little bag and it's like go to pull out a piece of chalk and don't realize like a month ago like it got soaking wet and like melted down in your pouch.
so you all can kind of leave a path behind you to mark some level of this kind of progression. You also recognize that if you leave where you left Terry and Neferndel, or where they left you, they're still going to be going back to where they left you. So you guys can start and get a head start on getting back, but it delays everybody else catching up to you because now they have to go further to get to you. So you guys understand that as well?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking like we try and get maybe down another level without like going the least amount of distance, like horizontally, I guess, from were where we had sent off Neff and Terry. Like we look for the closest entrance to. We're in the sewers now, I think, right? So like the next lower, next layer down, and then with the idea of we try and again with the idea that Dalton's thinking is get low enough that we're not affecting people up on the surface, and then we kind of like try and maybe hunker down and wait for them to come back. And part of this obviously is like for Chris to, if he can get here today, to be able to join us relatively.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily worried about the like real world ramifications of this because your choices are gonna matter in game. So just make the choices meaningful in game, if it's something that you want to do. So I think the general idea that I was going for last session was theoretically, if you guys are in the sewers, you are deep enough that you're probably good. I think you guys had a solid sense of it was about 30 feet. So what's up, Chris?
Hello.
Hey, Chris.
Ah,
Glad you could join us.
Yeah, glad I could be here.
so we're actually pretty close to just starting this right now. We're kind of just coming off the recap now. And we're kind of gathering some info. At present, I think the important information is probably perfectly viable in game, on some level. Neferndel is gonna walk up and find you at the Goblin House, a little bit exhausted. You can see plenty of sweat. She's definitely been rushing through the city to get to you. And as soon as I'm able to find Gale, Jinx and Dalton have kind of gotten into some trouble with my help. We may have helped um, free a prisoner who's kind of dangerous, and we need to get here and in isolation as soon as possible. He seems to have some sort of curse or powers that he creates other powers or happenings and things in other people. I'm pretty sure we've seen it's about 30 or so feet around him. So we know that you have to keep your distance or risk it happening to you. And we've seen one person already die from these effects as he started to like erupt with sparks. It seemed like his heart stopped, and when he died, the sparks stopped. His skin wasn't burned or anything. He wasn't actually creating like any fire that was harming him. He scared himself to death once it happened. Um, it affects some people, not others, but we need your help. Terry's actually going after Father Ambersov right now, and we're supposed to meet them back. So if you need anything, can you get ready pretty quickly here, and we can start to head back? It's in the South Market, so we have to cross the whole city and then help them get back here. So I think that's pretty much everything that would require for Gale to have been brought up to speed. That looks like a take the average.
That is literally the average.
But back to Jinx and Dalton. Again, what I was kind of getting at is you guys have a pretty solid sense that it's about 30 feet that this person affects around them. Getting into the sewers is probably enough that only people maybe directly above you have the chance of being affected by this. Just because the sewers are below the city and then you're actually like down on the bottom of the sewers kind of thing. So there's a solid sense of that is protection enough. If you look to go below the sewers, that's where the Bane Warrens are. There's plenty of space going on below the sewers, but there tends to be a separation between the sewers and those other tunnels. So it's one of those things, like I was saying, you guys can leave this point where Neff and Terry left you. They can follow this chalk path behind you if you decide to leave. But you also have to just as much explore to see if you can find somewhere else. And I feel like that like educated choice of, do we move the person or do we just kind of hold still? Holding still, somebody has to walk like directly above you. If you're moving them, you're almost like moving this point like directly above you. And that's all to say, like, is there actually a danger? So I feel like that's kind of where you two are at. But as far as the whole group goes, does anybody have any questions with that?
Yeah, I guess. Do we have like if we assume if Jinx and Dalton assume that Neferndel is able to get move across the city, find Gale, and come back, like, do we have an idea of how long we think that would take, barring any complications? Because I feel like that would be kind of like the minimum amount of time maybe we would want to just kind of hunker down and wait.
It'll probably take me maybe 40 minutes each way moving through the city. So if Gale's ready right as I get to the Goblin Hide, I think we'd be about an hour and a half or so, maybe a little bit more. But I feel like if you could wait 2 hours, that's probably pretty acceptable. And then there's the potential that any waiting that you also do, if you can hold tight, takes us closer to darkness. And when it's dark, hopefully everybody is in their homes. We might have that option as well if you guys wanted to take the street level.
I think in that case, we can maybe wait here a couple hours at least, and hopefully you can get back to us without any issues.
I don't see that I put a solid time when things were finishing here, but I'm pretty sure we had you guys leaving Madoff's at dusk. So you're already kind of at like the onset of darkness. There's probably like, a full like hour of dusk to go on. And then you're on like the first hour of true darkness. You're talking maybe like 6 to 7 p.m. If you guys wait 5, you're middle of the night, and the city would probably be, at its deadest, towards midnight.
Yeah, and I think Dalton had the idea of maybe trying to, before we move him, try and wait until sort of middle of the night, fewer people maybe on the streets. So I don't think he would have any issue with waiting a few hours to see if Nefri and Gale could find us. As long as Jinx doesn't have any issues with that.
Oh no, I'm good. Do we know when he was unconscious, was he still doing that effect to people, and then also in the bag, or both those things stopped him?
I'm pretty sure being unconscious did not stop it. I don't know if we know, because we can only keep him in the bag for like I think 10 minutes. It ended up before he I think Neferndel basically said like if you leave him in there longer, he'll die of suffocation. But I'm pretty sure he's unconscious when he affected the guy who died.
Okay, yeah. So he's still unconscious right now. If we just went down the sewers, well, that didn't stop the effect. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I
No,
think you put him to sleep. So I think you guys have like maybe like a half hour or 40 minutes up top while he's still like, oh wait, no, sleep isn't that long.
Yeah, no, I think
You guys
we ended
knocked
up.
him out. You
Yeah, we
guys
knocked
knocked him
him.
out with force, yeah. So you don't know how long he's like sleeping for. But he is currently knocked out, still affecting people. I agree. I don't think you have enough information to know how effective the bag of holding is, and what cost that would kind of come to.
So then, in that like 2 hour period, is it possible for us to try to do a short rest?
Oh, I definitely think that is entirely within the realms of what you can do if you guys are sitting down to have a short rest. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense if we're waiting for um, Gale and Neferndel or Terry and Father Ambersoft to return.
Uh,
I definitely wouldn't
Gail,
mind.
go ahead.
I definitely wouldn't mind having a little sit down, have a cigarette, get my wits about me. I used up about all the inspiration I'll be using until I rest anyway.
Uh, Gail, do you have anything else that you have to buy, or like do you need before we kind of rush over there and try to help Dalton and Jinx?
No, I think I'm good. We can go immediately.
All right, excellent. Theoretically, I'm kind of forcing you into Brother Ambersov will be your sidekick on this one. Do you have any veto slash would you like to create a different character who is somehow related to the Church of Lothian, being a cleric or some other class of support character? Do you have another thought?
No, I'm fine with Brother Ambersov.
Gotcha. Part of what I was getting is like you could create a paladin, you could create another cleric, but yeah, for all intents and purposes here, we'll just bring Abrasov in. Do you have a particular cleric you would like him to be? They've got the 6 of them there. I feel like the Exorcist might be a solid one, or like the Shadow Priest, just because we kind of have him already being a bit of like a knowledgeable person about the demons and the chaos tech on some level.
Yeah, I think Shadow Priest, maybe? Yeah, why not? Shadow Priest.
Alrighty. Yeah, so you guys are gonna rest for at least that first hour. Is that the general consensus with the bards? We're gonna start off with a short rest.
Yep, think so.
Yeah, I think the sooner the better. We don't know how long he's going to be out for, and it might be a nuisance if he woke up. So try to get it in while he's getting it in.
Alrighty. Yeah, you guys can gain the benefit of your short rest here. You're not gonna have anything, as far as you can tell, sort of happen while you guys are in this sewer position here. Is your intention to continue to wait in this place?
I think, given Nefrendel's saying she thinks, if we can wait 2 hours, she should be able to get back with Gale. I think Dalton's thinking is we wait at least another hour, kind of stay put.
I haven't got anywhere to be, so I'm perfectly content with that.
Uh, Gail, can you roll a D10? See how our travels through the city go as we head back through and try to make it to the South Market. That's what you didn't want to roll.
No.
Alrighty. So, when you guys are kind of finishing up with your rest, you're kind of hanging out in the darkness. Eventually, well, not necessarily in the darkness, but you're hanging out in the sewers. The light that you guys are bringing is the only light in this place, effectively. There's little areas where there's like some light coming through, but in general, you're hanging out in like this musky, horrifically smelling area, as this is one of the areas where a lot of like livestock still comes through the South Market. That like main avenue of Penny Street and Center Street are a huge entryway into the city. And you guys are kind of hanging out in the sewers that are effectively down water of that downflow of it. Dank, nasty area to be. You feel like you are in safety. You hear the 7 chimes of the Church of Lothian above you to kind of tell you it's around that like 7 p.m. of the evening. And it's not long afterwards until Brother Michael and Terry arrive back with you guys. When they kind of like climb down through the sewer like grates above, what kind of thoughts do you guys have as you see kind of like Terry kind of like climbing down and hear like the clank of his armor and the approach of Brother Ambersov?
I'm definitely thinking warn him about the 30-foot range, but I'm not sure if it really matters.
How do you warn him? What kind of things do you yell out to them?
And now, before you get any closer, we don't know exactly how this works yet. It seemed like it was about 30 feet, and then there was at least a possibility of being affected by this chaotic magic or whatever it is. So be ready for it.
Just dawned on me that I should probably have the chart of what that magic does all prepared and set up. All right, so you see as Brother Ambersov, like while he's still like on this ladder, kind of at like a close-ish, relatively far away distance of you, takes a moment to sort of stop, and you see as he takes a second to kind of like do like a cross over his chest, and he does some sort of like quick little prayer, and he's going to continue to approach. Lothian protects. I believe Terry said you all felt something when you approached this man. I felt nothing. I feel just the same as we were running across the city prior. I should. Oh, yeah, there's tons of dead people up above you guys. It's pretty crazy up there. I was going to break it to you a little bit lighter. There's definitely people being affected by this man above you. There are at least 3 dead bodies. 2 seem to have been consumed in fire, and another person seems to be exuding some sort of lightning from his eyes. It's gory. Mm. And he's going to approach this actual like the unconscious body of Tavin. He's going to be looking over Tavin for a while here, without kind of like recognizing anything in particular. But do you guys have any thoughts in the immediate presence there?
So Dalton's face will kind of drop when he hears probably more so like, so when Terry says like, yeah, well, there's lots of people dead, he'll kind of look a little suspicious. But then when um, Brother Abersov essentially confirms that there are several, Dalton's face will kind of drop, and thought we were deep enough. It it seems to uh, affect people randomly. And he'll just look essentially kind of like a bit of a hangdog expression on his face, and he's thinking like, should have gone deeper.
Don't worry, Dalton. We did what we thought was right. I mean, there's no way we could have known that that was going to happen. Besides, I mean, people die all the time. Not great, but
Perhaps in coming where you've saved many more than those who have been susceptible to this. I would not worry too much about the choices past and look to the future now. Those who can still be helped. I And effectively, we'll have this be about where you see once again, kind of like, or like hear the kind of scratching of the grate above. You see as Neferndel kind of like starts to like climb down the like stone ladder on the side of this part of the sewer. Kind of the same warning like coming from Neferndel, like, um, there's not much that you can do, Gale. But when you get, and she like looks down and sees like where Tavin is. When you get much closer, so warm feeling over your body means something might be happening. Just don't panic. Just don't panic. Don't panic. I'm sure it'll be fine. And like Gail, you would have seen like up above, there's like a few different like buildings that have now burnt down. There is like a crew of people who are doing a fire brigade with buckets to put out like the remainders of some of these fires. There's a person who was like knocked out because his eyes were like bleeding like this electrical energy that's like cutting through stone. It's a like horrific kind of scene of like martial law as the guards are starting to like shut down this district, where now like 5 or 10 people have like developed these like crazy exotic powers and just like instantly wrought havoc on this part of the city. And it is quite literally like a block, just a small like 200-foot or so area right above where you guys are climbing into the sewers that they've like started to lock down. But you would have seen like part of that, and now Neferndel saying like, don't worry about it. But you've also seen some of the symptoms of what this guy does. Do you have any hesitancy climbing forward?
I mean, there's definitely a little bit of panic seeing all that, but yeah, he's gonna steel himself and just climb down. Hopefully, be able to do something.
Gotcha. If you would be so kind, can you please make a, I believe, Constitution saving throw?
All right. Let's see.
Before you roll, is it possible to bardic inspiration like before he enters the range?
I don't think it's unheard of. So you can kind of see Neffy like giving him that first moment of warning. So I think that's enough time that you can, try out to him.
You got this, Gale. Stay strong. Stay focused. Whatever happens, don't freak out.
Oh, I'm freaking out. Let's see. Is it a D8 or a D6?
D8. Yep.
Yeah, that's a 9 total.
I was really hoping that you would save it because I'm still looking for the damn chart of this thing. By the curse. Okay, I see where it says the curse. Now, where is the curse? Okay, there we go. I got it. Bam. It's like 3 pages before. Roll a D100. What powers are you gonna develop? My bad. Did you roll a D100, Gale?
Nope, sorry. Let's see. 55.
Who is running Neferndel?
Oh, that's my NPC. Yeah.
Can you make a Constitution saving throw with Neff? All right. So, as you guys watch as Gale starts to climb down, Gale, you are immediately going to feel this like odd little like warmth. It's almost like, I don't know, like on a hot day when your stomach gets a little bit hot and you can just kind of like feel all like the probiotics or like the like bioorganisms like in your stomach kind of like heating up and you like feel a little bit sick. You're like, oh damn, do I gotta take a shit? And then all of a sudden you kind of like look down at like the next rung of the ladder and you see the first of these tiny little sparks of light that start to like burst out of your flesh. And then there's 2, 3, 17, 20, 100, and you just turn into a sparkler. I want you to make a wisdom saving throw for me, Gale.
I'm rolling strong today, so that's a 5.
Make a dexterity saving throw at disadvantage.
So that is, let's see. That is an 11.
Gotcha. So, as you notice these sparks kind of emitting from all around you, you hear like a scream from Neferndel as she like feels the first of these little embers kind of like touch her. And it's not like a burning sensation. She's not like screaming like I'm on fire. But by the time you realize that she's screaming out that she's blinded and can't see, you're falling to the ground, and at the last minute like your foot kind of like gets caught up on something and you feel like the crash of your shoulder slam into the ground. Please take 3 bludgeoning damage as you fall all the way into the sewer. You kind of like inadvertently almost like catch yourself as like your foot kind of gets caught up in kind of this like stone structure of the ladder, and maybe falling onto like Neferndel a little bit. But as you kind of like come to, you're still emitting these sparks. They're kind of going all around you in about a 5-foot radius from, like, if you reach out, your hand is like gushing out these sparks all around it. You're just a big old sparkler. And Neferndel is the closest person to you, and she's calling out that she is currently blind. What are you all doing as Gale falls, a sparkler in the night? Neferndel's crying out that she's blind. He's totally worth saving.
So Dalton will let out a curse and go rush towards I guess Neferndel and Gale, kind of looking back.
Neferndel's still right next to Gale. Are you going like close to them? Are you getting within 5 feet of Gale right now as you rush forward?
Yeah, I think he's just like kind of instinctively, as he sees this occurring, like not even thinking about the consequences to himself, he's rushing towards them.
Gotcha. And what is your goal as you're rushing forward? What are you aiming to do?
So he is hoping to, I guess, one, check if Gale is okay after the fall, but also I guess I guess just kind of like in general trying to like see if they're okay. Not that you
Gotcha.
can really do.
Maybe more focused on Gale since Gale just fell to see what you can do.
Yeah.
Let me have you make a intelligence check.
Ooh. If anyone needs inspiration, that's a nat 1.
Oh, my bad. I didn't even ask Chris if he had it. Does Gale currently have inspiration?
No, he doesn't.
Well, you can have it now because I forgot to give you the chance with the story dice.
Yes, you
So,
do now.
Dalton is going to rush forward to your aid, probably on some level calling out to you to see if he can help you, if he can help Neferndel. And within moments of rushing towards Gale, you are going to get hit by one of these sparks, and you too immediately. Oh, and I gave her a Constitution. Can you roll a Constitution save for me as well, Dalton? I forgot about that key aspect. All right, you are not blinded as you rush forward.
Yeah, so he throws up his hand just in time to catch kind of one of the sparks before it hits his eyes, and did sorry. So does Dalton know how long did the light that was do we know how long the light that was emanating from him after he got hit, like how long did that last? Do we have any idea of
I think you have a solid idea that it was about an hour that you were lit up.
Gotcha. So can he essentially try to, like, if he reaches Gale, he's going to try to like maybe take off his cloak and try to um almost like smother Gale's body in the cloak to prevent like the sparks from um I was thinking instinctively what he would do, trying to like stop it, stop the sparks. So yeah, I think probably he'd like try to like maybe whip off his kind of cloak and try to like drape it over over Jinx and being like,
Gotcha. So I think you would notice that it is indeed from fleshy bits that the sparks are coming from. So yeah, you can kind of like hide in a little cocoon of cloth to kind of like keep those sparks sort of tamed for a moment. They don't seem to be causing any sort of a fire. Well, that truly is peculiar. I've never seen someone do that before. Um, how would we even hide this person at the Dublin house? You must understand they aren't safe anywhere.
No, obviously this was a poorly thought out plan. We didn't quite know what we were getting our hands into. We were thinking maybe there's some sort of like anti-magical collar that we could perhaps put on them and stop them or something.
I've seen some prisoners put in such things. The inverted pyramid, I believe, has done quite a lot to prevent the church from owning and possessing these any longer. You must understand the Edict of Deviltry was not always taken quite so well, and he's kind of like looking towards Gale on some level there, like recognizing like there's definitely a little bit of sort of like potential like hot spot there, but it's definitely one of those things like it's been many years since we found ourselves explicitly opposed to the use of magic. I've not heard of anyone possessing them in some time, but it doesn't mean they're not there.
there was some sort of I don't know, metal stone back at Mados that seemed to keep it, whatever this is, contained. And Dalton will do his best to try and describe like I think he said it was like a bluish gray kind of something in the walls back at the asylum. If you've heard, if you have any idea what that might be, or whether it's something we could procure, seemed to be effective, whatever it was.
Madoff's Asylum is one of the older structures in the city, and it was created some time ago for the imprisonment of Madoff himself. I believe the entire structure is created of that stone, but the full properties of it are beyond me. Again, kind of like looking towards Gale. Do you know of any wizards that are capable of creating some sort of point that is contrary to magic? And can you just give me an Arcana check from Gale? One of the bards could also roll.
That is 25.
And dirty 20.
So I feel like maybe Matt Mercer created the idea of kind of like anti-magic like cuffs, like prison cuffs kind of thing. And I would say that's pretty viable as something that like the Church of Lothian used against wizards. during the actual like upheld edict of devilry. I would say on some level Gale would know that like historically. And I would say you definitely can understand like anti-magic fields might be useful for this, but that is like supreme levels of wizardry that only kind of like the highest members of the inverted pyramid kind of have access to. It's well beyond like your magical level. Um, and I feel like that's a solid kind of point to sort of recognize. Is there an easy solution to this? Maybe the prison itself that you broke him out of. But you also have a solid sense that he's not secure there, as the chaos cults have him sort of in their sights. But I don't think you have sort of any like easy clued means to how you could basically put this person into an anti-magic field. There's archaic magical items that are effectively lost to time and effectively the destruction by the inverted pyramid.
What about if we ask Neffy or whatever? Maybe if she's seen something like that come through, like her job or anything. Or is that sort of like all encompassed already?
Danbury's is kind of run by wizards, and they sort of operate along the edicts of the inverted pyramid. We could commission some items that have those properties, um, but it's gonna be pretty expensive. I'm not entirely sure if even Kalimtas has enough gold to necessarily have something made for this. But I would assume if the edict for devilry was enough that they would have destroyed these items used against wizards. I don't think Danbury's is a place that you could find them still intact, and I think they might not even make them, even if they were willing to, for gold.
Sure, I guess that makes sense. If there was something that was used to oppress you for a long period of time, you probably don't want to keep them around. Also, your condition appears to be permanent. You are blinded forever. And then I'm going to smack her with my stick and do lesser restoration.
What is lesser restoration? A curse or a disease?
It just says one condition, and it can be blinded, deafened, paralyzed, or poisoned.
Gotcha. I've never known a blunt force trauma to cause healing properties, but I kind of guessed. Thank you. I guess.
Of course. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's the only way to cast the spell. So you're welcome. Sorry, Gale. There's not really anything I can do for you over there. I just have to wait it out.
And meanwhile, Dalton is still just like periodically trying to like damp out the sparks that keep kind of flowing up from Gale's body.
You're not like in any pain or anything.
There's no actual heat to them.
Yeah,
They're
no.
not.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no. You see, it's weird. Uh, Shocking at first. Doesn't seem to harm me.
So when Gale says that, Dalton will still probably trying to shield his eyes, but will kind of take away the kind of cloak that he had brought and glad to see it's not affecting you too badly, but obviously given what was happening up above and poor Neff needs to do something with him. I mean, the whole reason Jinx and I broke him out, and well, Neff said that some others wanted him. I mean, can you imagine if he fell into the wrong hands?
So when you remove the cloak from Gale, like Gale's still erupting these sparks. The cloak was keeping them at bay. So, but it's kind of like when you remove the cloak any level, they, you know, are raining out from him still. But like thrown over him, the sparks are kind of contained inside of the cloak, but he's still doing that.
Oh, gotcha. I guess yeah. So Dalton was kind of saying he did that because Gale was saying it wasn't hurting him. So I guess he'd almost be like, if he took it away, he'd almost be holding it up as trying like a curtain between him and Gale, like to avoid kind of being blinded by them. But he probably wouldn't go to put it back down on Gale if Gale said that the sparks weren't hurting him. If that makes sense.
All right, we've got this guy who's creating mayhem. He causes chaotic things to happen, some sort of magical things, and he's not consciously doing it. This is why the cult wants him. He creates horrific situations. Are we gonna. What do we do?
Sometimes when a particular candle burns extra bright, it's our responsibility, no, obligation to snuff it out. I think we know what we have to do.
Dalton is gonna kind of shoot his eyes towards Jinx when Jinx says that, and you can see kind of his mind turning. Um, but ultimately, he's going to kind of like drop his eyes and then give a quick nod, essentially indicating that he agrees with Jinx that maybe it's the maybe it's for the best, and he'll say that out loud.
Guys, just hear from behind you. As this insane person seems to come back to consciousness and is once again racked by hideous laughter. Cries of pain, pleasure, ecstasy, and horror are all kind of mixed together.
So Dalton, after kind of looking towards Jinx and kind of agreeing with his idea, is going to look towards Gale and the others, and kind of very almost like hopefully, but kind of despairingly as well, is going to be like, have any better ideas?
Not really. Not without knowing more. Yeah, no, not at the moment. I can't think of anything.
Well, I mean, time's our enemy. We could knock him out again, so we don't have to deal with the laughter. But in the end, I think we know what we have to do.
But and what is kind of given our discussion, what is Brother Ambersov like? Does he look like he would be like stiffly opposed to this? Can we tell like what his reaction is to our discussion of potentially just kind of killing this person?
I have not considered myself one of the more entrenched members of the priesthood. I believe Lothian accomplished what he did through an open mind and also a force of will, not simply holding on to archaic things, but being ready to open both to woe as well as to favorable circumstances. I worry that were this person seen by those above, those of chaos, those with the inclination towards the evil paths, would find a banner to hold up, a rallying cry. And I believe those of the priesthood and the religious zealots, who are often a part of those same groups, would find the opposite. A battle cry, a call to tighten what is acceptable. I worry that this man poses a great danger to the city. It is already tried by the oncoming threat of the barbarian horde. Cries that a great celestial change is upon us. That the horde will destroy Tolus is enough for most people to worry about. I fear what could happen when people become so striated in their beliefs that they cannot discuss basic things. I don't know what the correct path is ahead, but I don't hold it against you that you consider that perhaps it is best for this city that this man dies. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think Lothian has a decision to say that he should die. And I can't say that either.
Perhaps it is best for him too. I can't imagine he seems to have no idea what's going on. Best for the city, best for him. And Dalton will kind of look towards Jinx and the others and kind of taking Brother Abersov's kind of words as not permission, but he will kind of look towards Jinx again and for the best. And he is going to cast sleep on. Oh crap! It's a 20-foot radius. But he'll kind of. Can he essentially kind of like push the other kind of motion for the others to kind of like step back and give him some space? Essentially, he wants to cast sleep on this guy so that we can kill him quickly and painlessly.
Gotcha. Like I was saying, I'm very open to the idea of sleep potentially being like a touch spell. So I think between those two ideas of separating everybody else from Tavin, and kind of just modifying it sort of in a homebrew fashion, I think it is entirely viable for you to put him to sleep.
Dalton will do that, and my idea to bring him out of here. Suppose it's up to me, and he will take out a dagger and sorry, he'll kind of apologize, kind of whispering almost in the guy's ear, and then he will move to slit the guy's throat, unless someone stops him.
Gotcha. So you take the moment to put Tavin to sleep, kind of looking around to all of your partners to see if anybody is kind of going to stand up against this kind of edict to put him down and end this situation. You can indeed go ahead and slit his throat, ending the chaotic aspects of Tavin Zith. You will quite quickly see as Gale kind of like pulls himself out of this little cocoon, whatever like magic was coming forth from within you is kind of halted, and you feel like that inner warmth that kind of like rushed over your body start to leave you. And then Jinx and Dalton as well would feel like these little bits of like kind of the warmth separating away from you, to also kind of recognize like there was definitely something to be said about ending this person, as there was still some sort of latent magic kind of effect on you at present.
And you'll see Dalton kind of as he slits the throat, he kind of moves his head to the side and he kind of looks like he's gonna retch. He kind of does that kind of, you know, you know, but he ends up keeping things down. I rolled a wisdom save or con save to see if he could stomach actually killing the guy, but he kind of stands up very kind of slowly and kind of looks at the blade and with the blood on it, and kind of shakes his head, looks down to the body again, and kind of moves off, stands off to the side for a bit, just kind of shaking his head.
What do you guys want to do tonight? Probably get out of here. Sooner the better.
Goddamn drink.
If there's much chaos up above, as you say, gods and whatnot, maybe we should travel through the sewers at least to get a little distance before we emerge.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And Dalton will kind of nod, but you can kind of tell his head's still kind of away. He's still thinking about. So he's like, yeah, that's a good idea. Yep.
Don't look so sad, Dalton. You did him a favor. He was in pain, torture, probably for a long, long time. You freed him. You did the right thing.
Maybe we could have. No, you're right. Yes, but you can see Dalton's still very kind of conflicted about what he just did, and he's kind of a little bit in shock, a little um, kind of out there. So
Forward and onward. Do we want to do anything with the body? Should we say some words, Father? Or do, perhaps we should do something with the body, lest whatever animating principle the undead have, this power is brought back if he rises. Would you, we burn him? Um, we could take him to my church and we could consecrate the body there so he can't rise from the dead. Do you all have a... Is it too much to ask that you make a decision now?
Nephew, why don't we stuff him back in that sack of yours and you let Father take him and consecrate him or whatever?
perhaps a cremation would be safer.
Either are acceptable ways to ward him from rising again.
Don't mind cremating the body. I killed him. I suppose it's only fair that I dispose of the.
You're overthinking it, Dalton. Just throw him in the sack and give him to the Father. He'll go cremate him. It's all bridges, water under the bridge, or however the saying goes.
It's probably best that I'm still not necessarily seen with you guys walking through the streets, so I think it probably works out fine if I go back with the father and we can take care of the body and I'll be back in North District in not too long. And you guys can go about your way.
Yeah, sounds pretty good to me. I'm starving. Could use a bite to eat, maybe a drink, relax a little bit, catch up.
As the horrific smell of sewer wafts into Jinx's nostrils, and immediately he thinks of food.
It's not the first time we've been down in the sewers. Doesn't stop a man's hunger.
I could definitely go for a bite to eat. Are we gonna move forward in the sewer? Are we gonna leave here?
So Dalton will he'll nod to was it Nefrendel and the father who offered to take the body, and kind of look towards Terry and Jinx, and yeah, I could use a drink then.
Well, we'll head east and leave through the second or third portal out of the sewers that we find. You all head north and do the same. And I will see you soon.
Sounds like a plan.
So we're gonna have 4 of you and 2 of you heading in different directions here. If I could have, let me have all of you roll a d10, and I'm gonna do Jinx as the odd one out. He's rolling for Neffy and Ambrosov.
Another one.
Solid.
And not sure, man. It's 10 for Dalton.
And Jinx rolled 5.
Just trying to play the idea of Dalton murdering somebody, with
Let's take a quick break here. Let's take 5 minutes here, and we'll come back. Chris, if you end up with any questions or thoughts, please don't hesitate to ask anything that you might need to get further caught up. But again, I feel like the way we kind of set it up, you were perfectly situated to just get the quick little recap from Neffy. But if you do want more of the full story, give me a few moments. I'm going to take a quick little step away, but I can definitely answer any questions while I'm setting up this scene. But again, let's try to take 5 minutes here. Come back as soon as you can, and we'll jump back into things. And if we need to later, we can still take another break at that point.
I'm back.
Yeah, welcome back. I'm still here.
I was trying to play up the idea that killing monsters is one thing, but killing somebody in cold blood, even if it's better for the world, is a different thing. So
Yeah, no, I understand that. It's we fight monsters, people who try to harm us, but never really killed someone just for being alive and causing chaos. And then you just yeah, no, isn't even putting up a fight, just dying.
yeah, I'm trying to play up the that would have an effect on Dalton. It's yeah, from it makes sense, right? So you weigh the pros and cons. Logically, it makes sense, but it's still morally.
Part of why I like to have a generally human world is because human opponents are far more of a gray choice than when you have something like that's the whole reason why orcs as like a general enemy in like role playing were universally evil for so long, and why it's so hilarious that they're trying to like say, oh yeah, an orc isn't just evil. Like for the longest time, the whole point of fighting stuff that wasn't human was that it wasn't human. You could just label it as evil because it was an imaginary creature and it made it easier. And that's part of why I've always liked to have human worlds where like your problem tends to be humans because it makes those choices far more difficult.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like if it's just like you're killing bad guys, yeah, like orcs are bad, kill the orcs, easy peasy. Or even like human antagonists, like in a war. It's like, well, you're in a war, but here it's like I like the idea that like could we potentially have found a way to keep this guy out, protected, keep other people protected from him, maybe, but maybe not. And there are other people that we know are after this guy, and they're going to use him for God knows what. So, end of the day, is it better if we just kill him or not? That's a deep moral question.
I mean, I was fully prepared as, taking partial responsibility, if not full responsibility, to use all my gold to commission a non-magic collar. Unfortunately, I'm a little shy right now. I only have 15 gold, so I'm not sure how far that would get.
All of the gold.
And what would we have to do to get that gold? And would it be worse in the end? Yeah, like I said, very deep moral question.
I think we made the right choice. I mean, we were in over our heads, so we took the easy way out. I mean, that's what heroes do.
Yeah, but Dalton will be scarred by it for a bit. Why he so wants to drink, right? Just forget about what he just did.
Yeah, when you said you were pulling out the dagger, I thought you were about to go ruthless. I'm like, damn, he loves that poison. You like hit him with the acid dagger.
I just put him to sleep, and then quick and easy, just let him drift off. Then again, he was pretty ruthless when it came to the assassin. But she was also trying to kill us, so didn't feel so bad.
Yeah,
So
that was a pretty wild encounter. If you like told me that we were about to get attacked by an assassin who gets the jump on us, that is not how I would have pictured it playing out.
I love the description, Mara, when he said like when Dalton picked up the dagger and kind of stabbed it through, because he was just thinking like, oh, he'd kill her, but then it was like, oh, and the acid from or poison from the dagger just ate away all of her like chest cavity. It was like, yep.
Did you end up getting like vials of that poison too, like extra doses?
I
2 or
did.
3.
Yeah. So I think it was 3 vials of. Well, he said oil of Taggart, but whatever he ended up deciding was the.
Yeah, I think just switch them to. I think it's just called snake venom. Is another one of the same like tier.
And for like a potion like that, like for a poison or something, is it pretty much like one use? Like, is the equivalent of one potion?
I think it's the same idea. Yeah, I think they're sold one-use potions. My bad. It's serpent venom.
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I added the 3 serpent venom and deleted 3 oil of Taggart.
I don't see any reason why this wouldn't be just a single use per. So I threw you guys on this little map, just kind of showing you like you're heading in like the northern direction in these sewers. Do you have any thoughts about kind of like your marching order? To any thoughts about sticking to the same side? Um, you know, often the northbound sewers in Tolis are like overflow, so they're not necessarily like running with any like actual liquid, whereas like the east-west ones are the ones that are actually running downhill. So it's like the north ones are often for if there's like a clog in the system, then it like almost like diverts, where it backs up to the closest like north or south like one. So like, are you guys walking inside of the culvert? You know what I mean? Do you guys want to set yourselves up as you're walking here for me, please?
Oh, so wait, which side is the overflow usually, you said?
Like the north south ones are like the overflow. Gotcha. So Jinx and Terry in the lead, Dalton and Gale towards the back. Are you guys specifically keeping 5 feet between you, and then is Dalton behind Gale even further?
I think Dalton is probably still kind of wrestling with what he just did, so he probably is gonna probably sitting in the back. Maybe I would say like 10 feet from Gale. Definitely taking up the rear of the party.
All right. So right about as you are crossing into this sort of intersection point, Terry and Jinx, you kind of like come to that opening, and you can basically like look and see, you've got to walk 10 or so feet this direction, 15 or 20 feet across the other one, to cross this without like hopping into the sewer, so you guys can continue on. But like as you're kind of like looking in this direction, you guys are going to hear like a crumbling of stone between Gale and Dalton, as that like wall immediately to the left of you is just going to kind of like fall out, and it kind of crumbles forward. Neither of you are directly in that path, but can you please make a dexterity saving throw for me, Gale and Dalton? Excellent. 10 is solid, no worries. And 14 is even better, no worries. So like as the stones start to like shift and move, the two of you are able to kind of like catch your balance, steady yourself, almost like stepping away from any falling stones as they do crumble down. Can we get a initiative from everyone? And then Dalton and Gale, can you do so with advantage?
Yeah, 16 for me.
Dirty 20 for Gale.
Does anybody not have or need inspiration? And I'm a 5.
Oh, okay. You rolled a 1 with that. I feel like everybody's inspired right now.
Dalton's got it. Yep.
Yeah, Gale has it as well.
Alrighty. So, Gail, you are going to be acting here first. Probably could have saved like setting all of these miniatures up here. But at present, I feel like Gail's got a pretty high passive. No, you guys all have 13 passive now. Interesting. Um, yeah, so I'd say, Gail, at this point, you're really just aware of like a rattling to the southwest of you, kind of like falling through this stone that has already caught your attention. But as you kind of like are drawn back away from it, you like are prepared for something happening out of that wall. And the first thing that you are going to notice is basically this fur-covered humanoid who's got like two daggers, and they are essentially like leaping out of this shifting stonework. What would you like to do, Gale?
Oh, I think I'll go. Yeah, I'm just gonna take like a step towards the one like southwest of me and use shocking grasp and let's see. So yeah, an 18 to hit
Solid hit.
for 12 damage then. Huh. And no reactions from him. So his next. Yeah, his next turn.
Gotcha. Are you stepping away? Excellent. That is going to take us to the one in the top left. Is going to kind of like leap out from under, takes a pot shot at Jinx, and then 18 to hit. I think it's going to be a D8 for a total of 7 piercing damage. And can you make a Constitution saving throw, Jinx?
It's an 18.
And then 2 poison damage as like a bolt flies out from under that bridge. You see as another furred humanoid kind of like quickly almost like leaping onto its front paws as it kind of like stows that hand crossbow, is going to like rush up to you, puts that arrow into you, and then goes to like draw another dagger to stab into you here. And I think that one should hit as well with a dirty 20.
Oh yeah, I'm still on 14.
And that's going to be for 6 piercing damage.
Gotcha.
And that should take us to Dalton. You've probably seen like the one coming up out of the water, like coming up out of like some of this like sewage under that bridge where it kind of collects a little bit of the like twists of the water as it kind of comes to that opening. There's always like a little bit more of the sewage around that northbound area. So you probably see that rat like starting to come up out of the little bit of like overflow there. The one obviously coming through the stonework, and you at least see like the initial kind of like or hear like the force of like a bolt, because you're a crossbow user. I think you would really be recognizing. I think you were the crossbow user, right?
He's got a hand crossbow. Yep.
Yeah, okay, because you haven't really taken me your gun yet. So yeah, you would definitely like feel that same like kind of noise, the way there's like a twing and like that solid amount of force that the crossbows like just sink into with those heavy bolts. So you're probably aware of, you know, those three at least at this point here. As you guys seem to be coming under ambush by these rats. What would Dalton like to do?
Yeah, so Dalton seeing Gale attack this one and then running away and kind of already in a bad headspace, kind of seeing this thing erupting from the walls, kind of like stalks towards it and just like with a shake of his head, like very angrily, is like, not to, not today, is going to try and reach for this thing and cast inflict wounds. Ooh, that is a net 20.
You've seen like the acidic kind of effects of this snake venom, and without even like kind of understanding the power and force of will that you can draw into this, I believe this is the first time you're casting inflict wounds.
It is.
Yeah, you kind of like duplicate that same effect as this acidic like that acid you saw that assassin using, and you just reach out to this thing and just kind of grabbing it by the top of its skull. Gail, you're just going to watch as this thing's flesh starts to just melt back with necrosis. The fur just kind of like falls off with like the fat and little bits of skin as it dries off, and it's like melting and turning to dust in kind of the weirdest sort magical ways, as this creature just becomes like skeletonized, like from head to toe. And Dalton just steps forward and like melts the entire thing's flesh away. That creature is dying in the worst of ways here. Thankfully, due to the height issues, I'm almost positive you have to touch it on its head. And that thing died quickly because nobody would ever want to experience that kind of death.
Yeah, I was thinking he kind of like almost like put his hand on its nose or top of its head and just like, bam.
Yep, I was thinking like right between the eyes kind of thing. So like that long kind of nose, like long kind of like face between the nose and the eyes. So yeah, that is on point to how I imagine. That thing is just absolutely horrific as it kind of like accidentally stumbles through this stone wall. That's gonna take us to. Oh, my bad. Did you want to do any movement or anything?
I think he's so angry that he just focused on this one, so no more movement from him.
Gotcha. So a similar thing is going to happen as Jinx experienced, as another of these creatures is coming from the right. This one is going to aim at Terry. Damn, I was about to thinking he was going to learn quick not to attack Terry, but that is a solid hit. Terry, I need you to make first, let's say, the con save to see if you take the poison damage. Oh, I don't even think it matters. Yeah, it doesn't really. Just take. Yeah. He does need it. Make the con save for me.
Terry was me, right? I think I was calling Terry.
Justin, my brother, do you know offhand? I feel like that
Yeah,
sounds about right.
Terry was him. I was Neffy.
All right, cool. Yep. Yeah, so solid on that one. So you'll take half there, which I think is a non. So first of these, I don't know what his save bonus is, but it is a 7. So I feel like it's like don't roll a 1, 2, or a 3, and the second one is don't roll a 1, but 2 more d20s, please. So he's good on the first one. Second one from the solid on that as well. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think this one's gonna rush up, and it's just going to a smoke bomb. Kind of miss there. 1, 2. So kind of hucks a smoke bomb. It doesn't quite get it to Dalton, but it kind of like rushes that over as it's like running up to this bridge and effectively joining into this little ambush. That will take us to Jinx.
Did you say it's a bonus action for us to drink a potion that we have on us?
Yeah, one of my homebrews is that everybody can have a single potion that they set up as like their belt potion. And that one you can use for a bonus action. Anything beyond that, though, like if you've got multiple potions, you need to be picking which one is easy for you to access.
Oh yeah, I'm just wanting to drink that super mega elixir from Neffy. So D12. So it's choose an experimental elixir result.
So, what do you want?
I guess I'll just do the +1 AC, I guess. Yeah, I guess I'll just do that.
Gotcha.
And then I'm gonna do for my action, I'm gonna do slow. So it's a 40-foot cube, and I can affect up to 6 creatures. So I'm gonna try to get like these 3 guys that are up top here. So each one gets a Wisdom 15 saving throw.
Gotcha. Yeah, 2 are gonna save, 1's gonna fail.
So its speed is halved, and it has -2 AC to its -2 to its AC, Dexterity saving throws, and it can't take reactions. And then on its turn, it can either use an action or a bonus action. Oh, and regardless of abilities, it can only ever make 1 attack.
Any movement from you?
I'll move around behind this little rat right here, and then I'll yell out to Terry, "Don't worry, Terry, I'll save you."
All right, this is one of those weird times where they're technically small creatures, so I'm gonna stack them up as they rush up. This one's gonna chase after you in slow motion. Oh wait, I don't even think this one's the slow one. My bad, that one's not even slow. Um, you too many d20s rolled there, but the 19 was the first, and the 2 was the second. This one is so this one is going to rush up to you. Yeah, and it is going to smash you for Um, 20 piercing damage. Oh, one of those should have been a D4, the first one. Shit. Just do it for 14 piercing damage. 17 piercing damage, my bad.
Got it. And I am bloodied. And I have a reaction too, so let me know when you're attacking, because I'm gonna use that.
Oh, my bad. That was pretty much that one's attack. Did you want to use it there?
Oh no, you're okay. You already did it, so
All right, Gail, your immediate threats are gone, like where you and Dalton are. You've seen them kind of swarming around Terry and going for Jinx. What would you like to do?
Let's see that. Okay, yeah. Yeah, just because I can, I'm gonna summon my spellbook or like manifest mind spellbook. It's like 10 feet north of Dalton. And then from there, just shoot a firebolt through that spellbook at the Ratman, like on the bridge.
Gotcha. The more northern of those two? Okay, I got you.
I don't know which Ratman was affected, but I just rolled my con check and I did lose it, so they're all back to normal.
Okay, no longer slowed. Excellent.
That is a nat 1, so that is a miss. Anyone used their inspiration yet?
Yeah, we rolled so many ones and none of us have used an inspiration yet.
I think I used mine on the inflict wounds attack. I forgot to mark it off on my sheet, but I'm pretty sure I used it.
Oh, nice. Finally, one of them doesn't go to waste then. Good job.
Because I would have had advantage for any other reason. So yeah, must have used it.
Excellent. All right, this next one is like that red one on the south side next to Jinx and between it and Terry. It's going to kind of like yell out towards Terry as it like points like its dagger towards him. Back off, Goblin. This has nothing to do with you. And then it's going to take like two little pierces at Jinx with its rapier.
I'm gonna do a silvery barbs on the.
All right, hold up here.
Oh, go.
Right now, technically, it has advantage. It has its friend with you, so realistically, this is still one attack. Silvery barbs makes me roll. Yeah, I think I would select the 14. Silvery barbs would make me roll. I think it acts the same way.
Yeah, you just picked the lowest.
So that's what you're doing here. 5 is a big ol' miss with that one. And then this one. Um, Solid use, because even with advantage, a 4 is not gonna hit. So it just kind of like goes to like stab into you. You weave like the little spell that distracts this thing, who is gaining advantage from your silvery barbs, and Dalton will be next in the turn order.
Terry, you know what to do.
Oh shit. Dalton, did you get to do anything with Terry at the end of your turn?
I forgot to have him do anything.
Gotcha. You want to have him do something here? You're just not allowed to attack the red rat on the south side. I feel like if you attack the black rat that is attacking Jinx, that will function. I feel like that's the best way to do it. This would be pre-advantage here. So do his like, normal attack.
Uh, 14.
14 is too low. That one is gonna block with its sword. And it is going to. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. 14 is going to be too low, and it does nothing in response. So, yeah. Second attack on it? I think he's got double 2 attacks now. Oh, 5. I think that's like 17, 20-ish. That should be enough for the hit.
For 11 damage.
Yeah. What do we say? Terry's got a big ass sword named Spear.
Yeah, that's right.
Gotcha. Yeah. So massive, like, cut into this rat. You just see as like one of its like arms is completely separated from its body. Tiniest bit of like flesh and fur is like keeping this still like attached. But Terry has definitely done a solid job in taking that thing closer to death. And then we'll go properly back to your turn here, Dalton.
All right, so Dalton just melted the face of this guy. So he is he is angry. So he is moving up. And I think he is he's kind of looking towards this guy who kind of just came out of the woodwork here, and he's like just like shaking his head like angrily, and he's like, "Not today!" And he is going to cast. And he is angry, and he is going to cast Cloud of Daggers like right in the face of this guy. So I guess the unwounded one, so the south, right between him and Jinx.
Gotcha. Technically, those two are small creatures. They are in the same space there. So if you fill a 5-foot space, you're going to hit both of them.
Ooh, all right, then that's exactly what he will do. Ooh, low roll though. That would be for 6 damage if they.
What is it? They just take that at the start of their turn, right?
Oh, yes, the no saving throw. Yes, so 6 damage. Yep, at the start of their turn.
Yeah. So Terry can see, what is it? The northern of those two is mortally wounded. I guess realistically, it was mortally wounded from his cut already. So nothing really is changing there. But it is on Terry. He can make 2 attacks.
Yep, Terra will keep slashing with his spear.
Sword called spear.
Yes.
He has advantage on that first attack.
All right, so that make it a 18 to hit, I think.
A solid hit.
Or 15.
Was he attacking the fresher one, or was he going for the kill?
Probably the one to the north. Probably the wounded one, yeah.
Gotcha. So definitely going to end that one. Hitting into the same like spot just cleaves that rat into two. Second attack on the other.
13. Thought it was a 1, 7.
That one it's going to miss. And that one is going to stab him back when he misses. This is actually at disadvantage. Son of a bitch. Sweet, sweet 20 wasted. But it is a solid hit on Terry. So he needs to make just one save for, DC 8. I feel like that's like 5+ on his con save.
So that was a 20, so he should be good.
Solid. So that's Dalton's turn. It's gonna go for the one who's behind y'all on the bridge here. And it's also looking at Jinx. I'm rolling a lot of Jinx here. Coming up, Jinx. That's a solid death sentence as far as going after Jinx has been going. It is going to rush forward. I think it's doing the same thing. It's gonna try to just stab you twice with its sword as it rushes on in there. It will again have pack tactics as it's got its buddy in there. So the first attack is going to be an 18.
I'm gonna do silvery barbs again on that.
Gotcha.
Does it take the 6 damage from the spinning blades?
Oh yeah, it's going to move in there. Yep. I guess realistically, I can have it move and not go into the actual blades. I was trying to grab a token to actually give you a blades token, but yeah, I'm going to avoid.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, I can see it. So
My bad. The 12 is definitely the lower one, but it's plus.
I'm only at 15 with the +1.
Yeah, I think they have +4 from Dex, but I think the rapier, yeah, +6. So it is doing a D8, 8 damage to you. And then its second attack, also an advantage.
I'm
Should hit within.
or not quite. I'm like right at that level.
And that one's going to do 10.
I'm still standing, but barely.
Yeah, with that one rushing forward, it is on you for your response. I think you can see the dead body of the one to the south as the acid is still eating away, like the venom. And then you've got the one who's fighting from kind of the wall of the sewage, down below you. You have high ground, Anakin. Then you have the other one that is fighting from within the blades, just to the south of you, but on the same level ground. But it is on you, Jinx.
So when I silvery barbs, I'm gonna give the advantage to Terry. And then I'm gonna say to him either then or now on my turn. It's time for you to go from Terry Chin to Terry King. Show us what you're made of. And then I will. So are they in two different spaces right now, or no?
These two are, yeah.
Okay, I got you. What's like the difference to like be attacked by stuff, or how does that work if you're invisible?
Things that cannot see you have disadvantage.
Okay, that's not that good.
Yeah, I think you've fought enough rats to also know that they have pretty keen senses of smell. So, like in the long run, they wouldn't have a difficulty finding you. So, like attacking you would be easy. It would just be at disadvantage. If they grouped up on you and had pack tactics, they're going to attack you at, a straight roll.
Yeah, that makes sense. So is there a way that I could just like move up above so they're in a line to hit them both with a lightning bolt, or can I do that like from where I'm at now? How would I have to position?
You'd have to like step away from them and let them opportunity attack you for you. Yeah, I mean, you could jump down and you'd step away from one of them still, though. But I would think crossing the bridge and going to there would make a lot more sense than like staying in melee with it.
Yeah,
Is
there's no
that
way though. I'm like mortally wounded right now, so I can't even take like one opportunity attack. I would definitely get down. So
gotcha? I mean, the safe thing might be purely to actually disengage and trust in your friends.
I think I'm just gonna do a healing spell.
Gotcha. You can roll for that healing, but it is going to go over to Gale to make the next decisions.
Yeah, I'm gonna have my book move up a little bit. Like that, then I'm gonna cast. It's called Maximilian's Earth and Grasp on the one rat post northern, like out in the sewage.
Sounds good.
And let's see. Yeah, it's gonna have to make a strength saving throw of 16 DC.
Big ol' fail as the earth kind of rises out of the sewage and wraps around this thing.
Yeah, then it is restrained and it will take 2d6. Let's see. So 8 bludgeoning damage. And it's totally restrained.
Anything else from Gale?
Yeah, I'm just gonna move up a little bit. Let's see. Then that is it for me, because it's a bonus action to move the book and an action to cast a spell.
Alrighty, so the one on. Damn, I feel like I left it in last turn. without thinking.
Wait, has the bottom rat even gotten a turn since he cast the daggers?
Yeah, I really don't know.
No, I think
This
this is the
was
first
called a
time.
dagger?
Yeah, I think this is the first time he takes 6 damage.
Okay, I don't feel as stupid then if it didn't have a chance to move out of them.
I
So
think this
yeah,
is the first time. Yeah.
it's going to. I think it's gonna roll out. It's not enough of an assassin to be able to disengage. Terry, as well as Dalton, have opportunity attacks on it here.
Yeah, they'll both stab at it. Dealt will be a 13 to hit.
Big ol' miss. It has its reaction. It's gonna stab Dalton as it rolls, and you attack it, and also misses. What did Terry roll?
Terry will hit with a 25.
Solid. How much damage? Oh, that might be what it needed to survive.
Hey, roll one more too in case you get a nat 20 because he had advantage again.
Oh, can he use that on a reaction attack?
Yeah, I think it's advantage on its next attack. Solid.
All right, so it would be I think 6 damage.
Excellent. Yeah, so it'll like draw up on the other side of Jinx, still bloodied and or rather now bloodied in like a horrific state. Not nearly as bad as could be, but Terry is definitely a bit of a bane to rats. And it is going to stab out at Jinx. For a 6 to hit with the first one, I think is 12. I think you said you're at 14 now. That's a big ol' miss. And then the second attack's going to be a 15 to hit. Or a 15 rolled. My bad.
I'll use a bardic inspiration to minus it.
Gotcha. So I have a total of 21, so 19. And it'll hit you for another 10 damage. And then it's on Dalton.
So I am bloodied again, but I don't look nearly as bad after the healing on all that.
Gotcha. Yeah, so Jinx looks okay. So Dalton is going to he's going to kind of step forward. He drops concentration on the spinning blades. So those disappear. And he kind of has he seen the one that is sort of fled?
I mean, it's just on the other side of Jinx. There's no reason that it would be out of sight.
Yeah, so he is going to kind of stalk towards that one, and I feel like he mechanically should just vicious mockery it, but he's upset. He's gonna like, where do you think you're going? And he's gonna reach out for it and try to grab it and cast inflict wounds again. And I will use my advantage here. Ooh, another crit.
Yeah, pretty much the exact same thing again. You're just gonna reach out and just melt a rat with this like fat slash necrosis dust turning effect, and it's just gonna slowly turn into another pile of bones.
Yeah, Dalton's angry. So love it. That's it for Dalton. And then I guess Terry though will move to attack the remaining rat.
And he has advantage because it's restrained.
That's a crit too.
Terry, the Kingmaker.
Do you think there's any way that one's not getting cut in half, like right and left quad um damn symmetrical sides of it? There's no way that thing's surviving as Terry cuts down into.
Nice job there, Dalton. Appreciate the backup. And of course, Terry, I cannot even begin to let you know how much I appreciate your loyal servitude. And so, and I'm going to pull out that longsword that I've been carrying and I'm going to give it to Terry. I meant to do it before, but I forgot all about it.
I think that's a great sword.
Yeah, it's a summer twinned greatsword.
Terry's going to take the sword from you and kind of like hold it a few times, feels it out a little bit. I mean, it's no spear, but it'll probably do. I'll see what I can do with it.
You've earned it, Terry. It's certainly not a spear, it's a sword, but I understand that maybe there's some sort of communication error here. So, but yeah, it'll serve you well.
If we hadn't dealt with enough shit these things, Dalton will kind of gesture to the a couple of the rats that he's just completely melted with his inflict wounds and just get the hells out of here.
Dalton, are you feeling okay? You seem to have turned a corner. I'm starting to think you're blurring the lines between, well, you know.
It's been a rough day. Let's leave it at that.
Keep your head up, buddy. Get a hot meal, a shower, and something to drink, and you'll be feeling right as rain. Is that the first time we've ever seen that like floating book from Gale?
Not sure actually. I think I've used it.
I think you used it once before.
Yeah, like once before. Yeah.
Oh, maybe that was the day I wasn't there on Saturday. I don't feel like I've seen that before. What is it? I guess Jinx would ask Gale. So, what's the deal with that thing?
Oh, this. Oh, and like the floating. It's like a. Think of it's like a spectral version of like pocketbook version of my own spell book. That's how it looks like.
So, like, what purpose does it serve? It like helps you to fight, or it just conveniently floats in front of you so you can read spells better?
It's all that and more. Yeah, it's can cast some magic through that as well. Can see through it, listen through it, share my senses. It's mostly quite useful.
Interesting. Well, looking forward to seeing how that develops. I've never seen anything like it. I'm not sure what condition everybody else is in, but I don't mind if I do have a little healing for myself.
You do that, and they seem to be weirdly fixated on you.
Yeah, they must have had my scent or something. I don't know if we actually told you earlier, Gail, but have you ever been a marked man before?
I can't say that I. No,
Well, good news. It's a first for all of us. There's some sort of assassin hit on us, all of us.
well, okay. Like us specifically, or
Oh
Well,
yeah, us, the three of us for sure.
you know us, so if you were marked before, pretty sure you are now. Sorry about that.
uh, I, yeah, nothing you could have done about that, I suppose. Not your fault. Uh, Do we know who's targeting us, or is it just we know that we have a target on our backs?
Well, don't suppose you recognize this, and Dalton will show the image with the kind of uh, coin with the image to Gail.
If you look inside of the Discord, that pinned message in chat like links to it, or you could just scroll up. It's that like double triangle, like lantern, like symbol, and then Gale specifically. I think you could roll probably history. I think is the go-to here. Um,
Oh wow, that's an 11 total.
Gotcha. Does Chris, the player, or recognize that symbol?
I want to say I recognize it because I feel like that's the what's the name? The assassins.
Excellent. Do you remember the name of those assassins?
I think the Vi. Remember right?
Excellent.
Because I remember that picture from when Malshin found it first. I think.
It was your first session with Malchin, and I think this is now 47 or something. Over 8 months or so, I feel like, since we started. I think it was well into last year. So
That's
good
wild.
memory there.
Even when the dice fail you, your memory succeeds. That's awesome, dude.
So you have confirmation with Gale recognizing the symbol, with the understanding that it is the Vi, effectively an assassin organization within the city. Do you all know who the Vi predominantly work for?
the Balcazars?
Largely, it is indeed. This
I
is
feel like-
another one of sort of the criminal organizations that it's not specifically linked with the Noble family, but it is 100% linked with the Noble family. And it's just part of like their kind of vast network of crazy crimes.
Great. So we've got one of the most powerful crime families put a hit out on our name. Probably had something to do with that amulet. So one way or another, we're gonna have to face them.
I think with the full understanding, it's probably a little bit more to recognize like the Vi don't really have allegiance to anything other than death, except for maybe that single family. It's not necessarily again that the Balcazars like run any given one of these organizations. Just that they have like strong ties. It's I don't know. It's one of those interesting things where it's like if 3/4 or not 3/4, like if a third of the work that they do is for the Balcazars, do they exist purely for the Balcazars? Like when everything else is like their own pleasure or people who actually like hire them for one job?
Are the Balcazars the same people that are behind the shrivel? Like the head people?
They are indeed. When you guys track down Malchin's amulet, they also were one of the females of the family was the only other person to ever be seen wearing that amulet.
We'd be doing the whole city a favor then if we did do something about it. And obviously, unless we can square this up, this hit's gonna stay out on us until they run out of assassins. And it's a big city, and we gotta sleep sometime.
If we want to stop them from coming after us, we make it no longer worth their while anymore. All we're going to do that is to hit them where they're paid. And you see Dalton is definitely looks a little more angry and kind of hardened than he kind of looked before after slitting the throat of that guy.
Yeah, I like the idea of that. Getting paid, hit them where it counts. I'm tired of being broke. I always thought being an adventurer, we'd be swimming in gold. I barely ever got anything these days.
Gamblers Anonymous called. It says it wants its irony back.
I'll push Terry into the swamp. Mind your business, Terry. I haven't been gambling barely at all.
So you guys see the like next little porthole out of the sewers. You've progressed like the few blocks that you were saying you were going to. You've had this like little ambush. You kind of recognize like it's not necessarily a big threat in the sewers. These are just more of these same like rats that you kind of already knew were here. And you guys can push your way out and back onto the surface above into the night sky.
Can we still search them too before we go and see if we find like more of those assassin things?
Yeah, make a investigation if you're going through everything. You can roll perception if you just want to see the most interesting stuff.
It's bad. 11 investigation.
Gotcha. So you are reminded as you're kind of going through all of this stuff that you see like one of the like legs is like cut off with one of the tails from like where Terry like chopped one of them in half. you're kind of reminded like you could carry the leg too, but like that tail is worth evidence of your kill. I believe that original bounty is 5 gold a tail, some such, or 3 gold. I think it was 3 gold a tail. So you are reminded like there's 12 gold just in tails here, if you want to collect those. But looking over these creatures, you definitely see that they have a solid kind of like number of daggers. You can make together 2 hand crossbows between them. There's probably a solid like 30 or so bolts for those. Um, you see 3 different smoke bombs. A solid amount of kind of like random stuff on them. Studded leather, rapier, shield. You could collect a good bit of like this mundane stuff. And then you got a little bit of cheese. A little bit more cheese. Roll 66 and 2d6 following it. Actually, just make it, yeah, just roll that.
So it's 19 on the 6 and then 8 on the other 2.
Gotcha. So you can find 16 silver pieces, and we'll go with 4 gold pieces. But yeah, largely these things are, probably the most expensive items between them are those hand crossbows, potentially their armor. But again, as with all things, like this is all beat up equipment. Not that it is valueless, but it's far more valuable if you intend to use it than to try to sell it. They are, after all, sewer rats.
Yeah, right. I'm not going to go too crazy with like armor and all that stuff, but I think the hand crossbows could potentially be useful. I'll definitely take the tails and the gold and silver.
The way you spend money, Jake's, you could use it.
Oh, I mean, like always, I expect to split it up evenly between us. I mean, I could liquidate the tails and then just get you guys back, or if you want your share right now, I'll like hold out one of the tails.
Why don't you just buy the next round?
Yeah, sure. Seems fair enough. I mean, I always just kind of round off everything anyway. So
Uh, Speaking of, and Dalton will take out the kind of the disc with the kind of insignia of the
Vi?
Vi. He's going to suggest, you know, we're already being hunted. Why don't we tell them that we, them meaning the Balcazars, we're not going to be just sitting ducks. He's essentially saying like maybe we should just go up to like the because imagine the Balcazars as a noble family. They have well-known places throughout the city. He's thinking like, why don't we just go like essentially take this thing, stick it on their door, and say like, you know, bring it on, kind of thing. again, this is Dalton after slaying the person and maybe not quite right in his right mind.
I mean, we could do it if you want to. I'm not sure we're really going to be sending a must of a message if their assassin doesn't come back. I think they probably know exactly what happened. But on a related topic, though, as far as safety, I mean, it's probably not the most convenient route, but I do have a little something up my sleeve that could at least stop us from being killed in our sleep. I've been working on a new spell, Lehman's Tiny Hut. It's a 10-foot radius, a big enough area for a room. We'd have to all stay inside of it. You come and go as you please, but it lasts for 8 hours, so we could at least get a safe long rest every night.
I mean, that's not a bad idea. Anything that stops me getting killed in the middle of the night, that's a plus for me.
I mean, it's not ideal for like a permanent situation, but it might take us a little bit of time to deal with one of the most powerful crime families in the entire city. But at least in the meantime, have a little force field protecting us. It's cool too because you can still get up and take a piss and everything.
Well, I mean, I wasn't suggesting we go knock on their door today, but
But we are gonna knock on their door, or maybe sneak in. But one way or another, we are gonna have to deal with this.
yeah, I don't like I don't like being marked by assassins.
Did you guys get the impression that those rats? I mean, that wasn't just an ambush of convenience, right? It's got to be another hit squad, no?
Well, I've been down there enough to know that rats are hardly a new experience.
Yeah, those didn't just feel like the type of rats that you just run into, though. It felt like, I don't know, maybe I'm just paranoid. One way or another, if we had two assassins come after us in the same day, that bounty on our heads is probably pretty big.
Even better reason to let the payers know that we will not be intimidated. I say we take it to them.
I kind of like this new Dalton. You're all riled up. I could get used to this.
I've been through a lot. I don't want to play the victim ever again.
I hear you on that one. We've all been in a tough spot. I've been captured myself before. Went through it with Malton. I don't know if it brought us closer together or put a permanent divide between us, but I know what you mean. I'll never be in that situation again. Not if I could help it. But we don't have to worry about that. We got the advantage now. We know exactly where they are. We know where to find them. It's not gonna be easy, but we'll get our revenge on them. Stop the shrivel trade. Make the city a better place for everyone. Oh, and no doubt we'll leave a trail of destruction in our wake, as always.
Oh, certain folk deserve to die.
So as you all pass through the city and head back towards the Goblin Hide, taking levels of caution to kind of like hide yourselves and blend into the few people who are still on the city at night here, you can eventually make yourselves back to your house. Return to the comfort of a tiny little dome of safety as you all cower within and take a long rest. Do you guys have anything you wanted to accomplish in the time between essentially last week and this week?
I checked the wording on Lehman's tiny hut. It doesn't say cower. It says sleep like champions.
Pretty sure right after that it says heavily connotated as cowering within.
Oh, it does say in fear and then mentions tears a lot at the end. It's a very small print though.
It's a small print. We gotta watch that.
I guess I'll like turn in the rat tails and liquidate some of the random stuff that I have. And then at some point in time, if you guys want to sort out some of like our loot and figure out like who wants to kind of like keep what or permanently retain what.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds fine. I think I'm pretty good on loot wise for Dalton.
So I think one thing also to consider here is we can take another like quick little break again, like take 5 minutes. And I'm curious, like Chris, are you feeling pretty good? Are you down to continue on? If it's potentially largely like say role play, it's gonna end up being setting up like what, like 2 weeks from now? Because we're not gonna have Justin next week, Dalton. So it's gonna go back to kind of like a bit of a side potential. I mean, none of this was really sides, but
Yeah, sadly, I'll definitely be unavailable next week.
Yeah, I mean, I should be fine.
all right,
So
cool. So yeah, my bad. Let's take a little break here. Everybody consider like if you have any downtime activities that you're doing in the city, and we'll pick back up in just a few minutes.
Yeah, right. Sounds good. And also, if anybody's interested, I have potentially up for grabs if anybody wants them or would use them. I have those Explorer's gloves still. I have the Akuza's Rod of Chaos. It's like a one-time use thing. And then, oh, and I give the other sword to Terry. So yeah.
Not even offering up the possibility that anybody could take the skull.
Actually, if somebody wanted the skull, I would be like open to that potentially. Now that I have a higher level, like an actual damage spell. But if nobody like particularly wants it, I would keep it. It is pretty cool. But yeah, 5 minutes.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
So,
Uh,
Brett,
d- Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say some pretty heavy stuff. But I gotta say, I love the idea of like Dalton being so like angry that he just goes and melts in people's faces.
I mean, critting on both of your first two inflict wounds is pretty wicked. I like the thematic implications of taking inflict wounds as magical secrets, like the ability to control like life and death. Because inflict wounds has always, to me, been the absolute mirror of cure wounds.
Yeah, I like the idea of like Dalton being like he's faced so much that he's just like he's had it and he's like bam, like melt your face. Like, and then especially after killing that guy, it's like, you drove me to this. I'm gonna, fucking just murder you.
Give in to the bloodlust.
Yeah, it's pretty much where Dalton is at. He's just like, fuck it. Try to be like the moral guy, but you drove me to this. I'm gonna, you know, maybe Davros is right. Just like fucking smash things.
A barbarian bard would be a pretty funny combination. But I also really like the fact that, like, if Dalton became a barbarian, it's as his father reforms his own life to like calm himself into like the fighter. Like, huzzah! Aren't you happy, Dad? I finally joined you. Son, that time is behind me. I found calmness in my old age. Equanimity. Something more important than just being angry all the time. And that's how Dalton became a rogue.
I've thought about that, about how might Dalton to just take a couple of road classes. It's like, yeah, especially with like you said, Davros finally becoming like coming to peace with himself, and then it's like,
All right.
I think rogue. I think rogue is a very thematic subclass to splash. It's very useful. It's definitely that like I'm just trying to be a little bit more secretive, a little bit more skill monkey like.
Yeah, I feel like rogue, fighter, and barbarian all do like really cool stuff for like 2 or 3 levels.
So did anybody have anything And you don't necessarily have to be doing anything during your downtime. But did anybody have anything in particular that they were doing or wanted to check, wanted to do, wanted to accomplish within the city over a week?
I think Dalton would like to learn, and again, going off of the idea of he has thieves' tools kits now, and now that we've lost Malchin, trying to find somebody who could maybe teach him how to pick locks or start to, I should say.
I really feel like I started to write that mechanic down with Malchin, and I wonder if I did.
Like I'm good to wait until like the next level when I'll take a level in Rogue.
Yeah, I mean, if you're actually planning on taking Rogue, I would say that's perfectly functional. Versus, I mean, I think Hill Ravens are definitely one of the potentials that you could go to, but I think you've been avoiding them. You guys have the connection Malchin used was Seamus Ilithan, and he helped Malchin find the Thieves Guild.
Yeah, the long fingers,
You-
right?
yeah, long fingers. You have Zeneth, who's one of the guild members, like one of the sidekicks. And yeah, I think that's probably. But yeah, if
That
you
might,
intend to go rogue, I think that's definitely just 7th level. Splash it.
yeah, I might like in exchange. I'd offer to teach somebody like a little bit of my knowledge about you know forging or disguising, that sort of thing. But yeah, probably I'm probably thinking of my next level, level 7, and just taking the rogue splash class.
Gotcha. Nobody else has anything in mind. No big deal. Over the next week or so, you guys would hear much more conversation in the city. The like gazetteers, the newspapers are almost entirely filled with like people writing in about worrying about the barbarians, people writing stories about what the barbarians are doing, the church like defending itself in that it's like made cries to Tarsus. Most of the gazetteer are focused purely in this barbarian horde coming towards Tolus. Many of them speculating it's about 40,000 barbarians who are coming here, and they are weeks away. I think at this point, we're probably going to expect late August is when they're going to arrive. From what you guys can tell in the gazetteers. Old Town is in the newspapers as it has been racked with earthquakes, and many people are speculating there is the end coming, as the tower seems to be shaking in the very foundations, and that would kind of like sit into some of the more like exuberant or like the more not necessarily fictitious, but like the very like kind of like leading you on sort of sensationalist. There we go. That's a perfect word. Sensationalist papers. Um, and around the end of the week here, you guys would eventually have a summons. Um, Let me have Gail. Can you roll a D100 for me?
68.
Uh, middle of the end of the week here, Gail, you are going to receive a small envelope. The kind of thing where you're like going about your day and you just like feel a little bit of a change in your robe, and like you like pat one of your pockets and you feel there's like this 3x5 like card inside of your pocket, and like you just felt it manifest there. You know that that pocket was empty, and all of a sudden there's some sort of like 3x5 kind of like stationary almost in your pocket. But you have like a small envelope in your like left breast pocket.
Oh, I'll take it out and read it.
As you draw it forth, opening the package, you are going to quickly find that you don't actually have to draw it forth, or rather, you don't actually have to take the time to read it. As upon opening this small envelope, you are going to hear a voice. Excuse me, young one. Master. Hear like a little bit of like rumbling of papers, like in this like little envelopes kind of voice as it's speaking to you. Gale of the especially Sixth Order, you are requested to come to the inverted pyramid. You should accompany yourself with the others of your party. Dalton, what was it? Demetrius? What's Dalton's last name?
Oh, Demarcus.
Demarcus, my bad. Dalton Demarcus, a Jinx, and a small goblin, Terrigen, Nephron, oh, intriguing. The one you know is Nephrandel, and brother Mikhail Hersov. If you could arrive Saturday, high sun, um, over. You mostly reside in the North Market. Over your house. That would be good. If you have any concerns, you can reply to this message.
I guess for concerns, do we need to bring anything, or like, do you just have need of us?
Gotcha. So you just say that to the card?
Yeah, I'm just like hoping like there's a reply to this message, like hoping you can just reply. But,
Gotcha. So you're going to see as the card kind of like turns into almost like a gold dust and just kind of like sprinkles out of your hand while you're holding it. Most of this day goes by until you have another card kind of like arrive in your pockets. I already forgot what you asked. What did you ask?
Uh, like, do they just need us to come there, or do they want us to take something with us as well? Like,
Oh, I believe you are perfectly fine to come as you wish. I don't think you are required to bring. I'm curious what you think you should bring. Bring what you think you should bring. Yes, this is not a test. And like again, the envelope just kind of goes like kind of still, in the same way. If you'd like, you could say something else to it if you think you have something else to say. But what is Gail thinking? And theoretically, again, most of your day went by here. The first one was just when you opened it. This second one you could have potentially opened around the rest of the party.
I think I would have opened it around like the rest of them. Oh, and I would have like told them about the card as well, like the invite request.
I should note here, you have no doubt that this is from the inverted pyramid, from within a wizarding organization. So this is not necessarily something that would surprise you. Like this is a mode of inverted pyramid communication. Um, I think it would be new for them for you to kind of bring this up. I don't believe you've really spoken about the inverted pyramid to the rest of the group. Um, but at least most of you would recognize that the people named were the people who were there earlier today here.
I think it's safe to say that the pyramid has found out about what happened. Probably want to ask us some questions.
Being invited to a place like that, I suppose, will end badly for us if we refuse the invitation.
Yeah, I think we're in the shit now. It's powerful wizards, like you say, probably don't have a choice. They're just being polite.
But we should bring a bottle. They might have said we don't need one, but you know, having a hefty club around might not hurt. Worst case scenario and all.
A true barbarian wanting to take a club into a wizard school.
Oh, a bottle of wine. Worst case scenario, smash somebody with that. That can hurt.
So theoretically, do you all have any preparations prior to be summoned into the inverted pyramid? So you all can gather up basically this Saturday here. You all arrive well before noon at the house. You've got Brother Ambersov, you got Terry, you got Nefrindel, and you all just kind of like go out onto the highest story of the house, climb onto the actual roof itself from one of the windows, and kind of thoughts do you have from there? You gonna just kind of like wait on the roof? Do you have any thoughts about what you are going to be doing?
Dalton is definitely hesitant, so he's kind of staying back towards the corner.
I mean, we're just telling the truth. Exactly what happened. Found out the cult was after this guy who was powerful. They were going to take him and do bad with him. So we got rid of him. We did the right thing. Nothing to worry about. And it's all of us did it together, not just one of us. And he'll like look over at Dalton.
Dalton to kind of like look towards Jinx and then kind of stand up a little bit straighter and then I've done what I've done. All right, and he'll move towards kind of the stop cowering and move towards the kind of the roof. And
So as you all climb out onto the roof, making your way there, maybe Dalton's kind of towards the back of the group. Once he kind of gathers everything together inside of him, kind of moving up further and further towards the peak of the roof, till you eventually will all just kind of feel like a weird little tickle in your spine, and you just kind of notice like your muscles just aren't really working in sort of the same way. Takes you a moment to kind of feel starting to become almost weightless, like a little bubble. And you're 10 feet above the house below you. 100 feet above the city. 200 feet above the city. Until eventually you kind of feel stone beneath your feet again. You feel the muscles kind of returning to the state where they've been in. That weight kind of starts to come back to you, feeling like you're still like your muscles are a little bit more naturally aligned, like to the right kind of weight and like density. Kind of looking around you, you're a few hundred feet above the city. A lot of those buildings are tiny little blips below you. And you're over kind of like a central point of the North Market there. And you can see all the way into the necropolis. You can see the Dark Reliquary. You're maybe a third of the way up the spire. But over here, like again, like what is it? I think your actual house is in this area of the North Market, and you're those few hundred feet above. Can't quite see the docks. Like you are high, but you're not looking down like that same height as the actual cliffs of what is it? The Spirit Wishes, Soul Wishes. I can't think of it offhand. Lost Wishes. Bam. And yeah, you guys kind of just like by the time you like are looking around, you can see the entire city here, probably pretty much besides the docks. You start to notice like as your feet become like normalized, the last thing that happens is that the ground starts to turn opaque beneath your feet. You feel the stone beneath you before it starts to turn into something that you can see. And this is where, for Gale, pretty normal here. You would have been in the pyramid. You would have left it at some point. There are different methods of coming and going. This is a pretty kind of like simple, like more powerful mages using kind of like a mass sort of levitation almost to bring you all up, more than like something that individual mages would do. Most often wizards of a high enough class are like turning themselves invisible, like with greater invisibility, and using flight to get and leave the inverted pyramid. Quite often, you are brought down at night if you are not able to do it so yourself and still kind of conserve, no, hide the location of the inverted pyramid. But you guys are brought into a small office as it all kind of like forms around you. You see is like this invisible area just turns visible to you now that you are inside, all kind of spreading from these areas where your feet are touching the stone beside you or beneath you, until you eventually hear, welcome, welcome. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Uh, I have the Jerica Noir. Um, have a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat. Can you make an Arcana for me, Gail? Solid.
That's a
Anybody need
17.
inspiration? 17 when you roll in that one.
Yeah, because I rolled high on my two, like the proficiency die, and I have a +5 from the intelligence and expertise on Arcana.
As you well know, Gail, my primary duty here in the inverted pyramid is teaching the art of divination. It should come as no surprise to you that I am well aware of what happened this past summer to you. No, this past weekend to you all in the South Market District. We shouldn't have to discuss anything other than factual happenings, as you can assume that I have seen everything and know everything that you've seen. Can we agree to that? And this will be the first time for Gail, at least, that you'll hear he says your full like your full name. Gail, it's an N, right? No. Suin. Can we speak as friends?
Certainly, Master Jebekin.
Fantastic. Why did you take that figure from Mados? Uh, Tavenzor.
I mean, I don't mean to intrude here, but Gale really wasn't responsible. He wasn't with me when I took that figure away. So you really can't answer that question.
Oh, I just thought I would speak to the leader of your little band.
I think like Gail will just give a small cough. I wouldn't call myself the leader exactly.
Uh, Perhaps I misunderstood. You, the five of you, all unemployed. You work at Danbury's. I actually recognize your face, but all otherwise unemployed. No, don't you support your friends here? Tell them what to do. Teach them everything you know. And he's looking at Gale, kind of perplexed.
I'm sure you already know they're Delvers, and it's more of a cooperative. We help each other when we need.
Yeah, so I assume that they need you on a regular basis and are therefore the leader. But perhaps I am mistaken here. Um, you there, you took Tavern without Gale instructing you. How did that start?
I mean, skipping over some of the unimportant details, found out that the cult was after him for his magic. We didn't know exactly what he did or how dangerous it was. Got in over our heads a little bit and had to make a snap decision what to do about it. And if you saw everything, like you say you did, then you know what to tell him the truth.
I do think you spared the city all graceful of trials and tribulations. It does, in fact, seem like you've been quite good to the city in some forms and areas. These cultists you've thwarted over and over again, it would appear. But Tavin was an interesting fellow. I just wanted to be clear when you were turned on to his path. And he'll like pause, kind of like looking towards Neferndel. Um, kind of gave them some information, and that's how we heard about him. But he was already there, and we just knew kind of a path in, or I just got like a little bit of information to be able to make it in. Um, and there might be kind of like a back and forth here where you can gather on some level. He's asking like particular questions of Neferndel and going silent after these different questions. And then he's arriving at a point where he asks like another question and he's like again kind of like almost ignoring you guys for a time. Anybody would like to can roll like Arcana or a Insight here.
Yeah, I think Don will roll insight.
Yeah, Gale is rolling Arcana.
Ooh, that's a terrible. Nope.
21 insight for Jinx.
And 23 Arcana for Gale.
Gotcha. So Gale can recognize that he's like actively seeing Neferndel's like vision as he has her describe what she was doing. he's actually seeing like those images that she recalls. For Jinx, at least, you can recognize that part of what he's doing is certainly to kind of learn what Neferndel knew. You don't quite pick up like the extent to which, he's got basically now kind of like a firsthand, or I guess what is that, a third person understanding of what it was. He's like seeing through the eyes of Neferndel. Well, this is all intriguing. But you had no understanding of his activities beforehand. Are you all for hire? Do you have a present job? It's of great importance to the city of Tolus.
I mean, we've been for hire before. Hasn't always worked out that well for the people hiring us, but I'm sure you already knew that. Can't speak for everyone, but for the right cause and the right reward, I'd do just about anything.
My apologies. I didn't mean to make my powers seem any more fantastic than they clearly are. I can see what I need to see and what I know to look for. It would be most exhausting to have to experience your whole life. I cannot do such things.
Well, the last guy who hired us is dead now. That's all I was getting.
Oh, yes. How unfortunate for, I'm sure, a great and powerful ally who hired you previously. And you see as his like little laugh turns into like a struggled like cough and then like a gasp for air as he kind of gets lost in what he finds a hilarious joke. But a few moments go by here and well, I cannot see now that he's been removed from the world of the living. Oh, where he was prior to coming out. But I believe this man, Tavern, was able to learn things or perhaps unlock things. Great and interesting things. Wow. Within the city or the ruins beneath the city. I believe he found one of the seals of the Bane Warrens.
And you think that's what drove him crazy? Turned him into whatever he was?
He was not a man of any remarkable magic. You all experience that as well as I have. You may. My bad, I didn't see who that was, but do you have a question?
I mean, it might not appear to be particularly powerful magic, but it was just the way that it flowed through him. Is that what exposure to the seal would do to a man?
The magics of years lost in time, of the Dark Ages. These are things as beyond me as my own powers are beyond you. And he kind of like looks to Terry, and what I mean is it's so hard to describe. What power I have, many more. Is it hard to stay the same of those that have made it through time?
I can't speak for everyone, and I have to admit I don't know a ton about divination, but are you only able to see what's already happened, or I mean, can you see what's to come?
When I look to a reality, I can see into its future, but only so much as I know what to look for. And even though it's often unreliable, are you finding yourself interested in divination? You have magical, and he just kind of like almost like pops his shoulders. Like, do you have abilities? Are you magical?
I mean, I've always found all the different forms of magic quite intriguing. Divination, the potential to see what has already been, is definitely extra appealing, but not quite as appealing as seeing what's potentially to come. I'm curious, though, with so many pending threats to the city, which one, I mean, the barbarian horde, the night of the reckoning, there's talks of a purge, quite a few things here, obviously. Underground, war hydra machinations. Are there any of these in particular that we should be more worried about than others? Possibly a false flag event?
Awfully intriguingly specific. The Hydra that you released seems to be held captive presently, but in 14 days' time, it too will rise from the ground beneath.
were you done there? I mean, is there any way we could stop that from happening? Or like, could you give us a heads up where exactly it's going to rise up from the ground? So we could either not be there or be there, depending on what the plan is.
Where you released it is certainly the most likely place for it to rise. Sometimes the most important choices are even beyond what we think is possible. You are perhaps stuck in these realities until you find yourself beyond those needs, and things will change for you.
Anybody else got any questions for old Treebeard here? Kind of sitting on empty. Maybe about the job or what was the reward exactly that we came here to collect? Also,
And maybe before discussing reward, should we know what it is the job is?
I was hoping to employ you in searching for where he crossed over into the labyrinth of Gull. Perhaps you all would be the intrepid investigators to find this interstation.
I'm s- uh, what did you want us to search for? I didn't really pick it up.
I can see into the day that Davin was first imprisoned in Mados. But I do not know how he or where he came from. I cannot go there to look. Only a particular home in the old town I can see. I can pay you 100 gold lion, 50 on completion for you to investigate this home.
or did you say 100?
A piece, a piece.
So you magically transported us all the way up here to the inverted pyramid, super secret location, and we just went through all this. You need our help, and 100 gold each. Something's not adding up here. Is this like the practice mission before the big one that you need us for, and we just kind of have to prove ourselves, or?
Yes, let's go with that practice mission. An internship, say.
Is this because we didn't bring you a like a present?
Oh, did Dalton forget the wine? Um, um, 500 lions after completion? Is that more acceptable?
Look over at the guys, like shrug. I think that's a pretty good deal. 500 lions each after completion.
Yes, that seems very generous.
Is it too generous? Maybe 200 lions?
I think that's just fine. We'll keep it with the 500 each, and then also I'm sure you already knew, our intentions and everything. I'll like walk over to him, like reaching out, like I'm getting ready to shake his hand as I'm like going through my stuff. But I did have one other present for you as well. I'm not sure exactly how the whole wizardry thing works, but and I have a scroll of fairy fire. I'm gonna like pull that out and hand it to him. And I'm trying to get him to shake on 500.
Yes, yes. You see as he waves one of his hands, and you feel as if he's grasping your hand, and it feels as if you were shaking his hand. He looks also at the scroll and kind of perplexed. Why? Um, this is very nice. Is this your finest work? Your curriculum vitae? It's lacking. And he kind of like goes to like hand it back to you with like two fingers. And he's just like holding it down, like draping between his hands as if it's like a dirty handkerchief.
Oh no, that's not my work. I found it on the dead guy. I don't know. I thought you could like put it in the spell book or something. But no problem if you're not interested. I'll take it back. I'll like roll it back up all nicely and put it back away.
Good. Good.
If we're making deals, would like a would like your assistance against a enemy of ours.
I feel like you're misunderstanding the nature here, but what assistance do you require?
So Dalton will present the little coin. When the time comes, do not stand against us when we move against these.
The inverted pyramid does not deal with assassins' guilds. You will find no complications from us.
That's all I want. Leave them to us. Please don't stand in our way.
Well, good things to come. You will look into this house, see where within Jarin was making his entrance into the city, where it would be that he was exiting. Yes, it will be. That will be it. Yes.
While we've got you, though, I would just really regret not asking you about just one final thing. If we could possibly have just one more moment of your time. I'll take that as a yes. Um, so here's the thing, and I know already probably what the answer is, and I'm sure that you're just going to basically tell me that what I already know is true. But what level of escalation is the whole? And again, I'm not even sure if I believe in this, but there's a lot of talks about the night of dissolution. Should we be taking that seriously? Is there going to be like demons on Earth, or that's like sort of bullshit?
The acts of charlatans and those who pretend to read the astral bodies to see the future, they have no true magical inclination, no sense of what's really is out there. No serious academic would ever no serious thought should be wasted. The Night of Dissolutions, fairy tales, and old wives' tales, the tales of bullies and those who would abuse. Nothing to worry about at all. I'm sure nothing at all.
Well, very convincing. I'm definitely convinced. I mean, to doubt your response be to doubt your very power. Obviously, ain't no place to do that. So I do feel much better having you just reassured me of what we already basically knew. So thank you for that, and I appreciate that last little comment. Anybody else here? Or I think he's about ready for a nap.
I mean, I'm not sure if I picked it up with the. Where exactly was this house you wanted us to investigate? Midtown, South Market, Old Town.
It's within Old Town. You can see it from where the Hydra will rise. It's probably best to go prior to the Hydra hitting the earth above.
Up there by 38. That's where the Hydra's coming, right?
Yep.
And then what's this place on the map?
I think I just realized like what I circled as the Pythonese house is not actually the Pythonese house. In his old edition, he's got a different house marked than like the new editions do. And I definitely see it in the older edition version that's marked. So over here on like the west side, just south of 41, you can see the house that is marked. Actually, shit, it might be this one, but regardless, it's one of these houses. I believe you have that which you require. If you would head off and accomplish this as soon as may be, it would be ideal. Prior to the destruction of the Hydra or from any other adverse threats to the city and our way of life.
So just to double check, because you keep referencing the destruction of Hydra. Like, is that something you're planning on doing, or we need to do that?
Defeating the Hydra.
Yeah, I think I already know that. That was a dumb question. I got it.
You are perfectly welcome to face it yourselves. I did not see you in its destruction, though. So it would be most interesting if you decided to destroy it. Well, if you require anything else, otherwise, I'll send you on your way and you can go about your business. That should be adequate. So if nobody else has any questions for what is it, Javaya, you will just kind of like see a sort of wave of his hand. You all are going to watch as the stone beneath your feet once again becomes Ojevica, becomes clear and see-through, transparent, and you'll feel yourselves slowly just kind of floating down as if you are the weight of a feather in the wind. You just slowly sink towards the earth below you. Eventually, you all will kind of sink back down onto the peaks of the old goblin house.